Welcome to the Course Reports on Site, your real deal inside look into professional golf venues around the world. It's FedEx Cup Playoff time, and this is the 2019 BMW Championship. We are at Historic Medinah Country Club, and course number 3 is in the final stages of prepping for the greatest players in the world. I'm Curtis Tyrrell, Certified Golf Course Superintendent, Master Greenkeeper. In this episode, we're going to talk to all 3 of the golf course superintendents as well as other members of the team that work under Director of Grounds, Steve Cook. They've got a lot going on. We're going to give you the smooth and true facts. It's time to get on the green. It's time for the Course Reports on Site. Medinah Country Club has an incredible legacy in the game of golf. Course number 1 opened in 1924, followed by course number 2 in 1925. Course number 3, 1929, and from there, the long list of championships just continues on. 3 U.S. Opens, 2 PGA Championships, and the 2012 Miracle at Medinah Ryder Cup. The Western Golf Association and the PGA Tour are next in line with the 2019 BMW Championship, the last FedEx Cup Playoff event before the Tour Championship. All 3 of the golf courses at Medinah Country Club were originally designed by Tom Bendelow. Yet in recent years, they've done some major work. In 2013, Course 1 was redesigned by Tom Doak, and he did a masterful job of improving the property's drainage while bringing together a wonderfully integrated design. The most recent project in 2016 was Course number 2. Rees Jones and his senior designer, Steve Weiser, did a brilliant job of applying a modified restoration to the original Tom Bendelow design. Course number 3 is a tried and tested championship venue, and in 2001, Rees Jones began his work of streamlining the architectural integrity, modernizing the infrastructure, and preparing the golf course for major championships. Chris, how many days to the BMW?
20 days.
20 days. You have the clock going, the countdown?
The clock is going in the shop, and I look at it every hour, pretty much, the countdown. So
Every hour.
It's exciting. As an assistant during the Ryder Cup, I learned tons. I took notes. I still have the binders from those notes that I look back to for this event.
Yeah, it's been a hot summer for you guys recently.
It has. You know, we got a lot of rain this spring, and then it got hot on us, so it makes things challenging. The 6-7 years I've been doing this, definitely the most challenging year I've experienced.
Right? The weather was a nightmare this year. It reminded me of 2012, the same year as the Ryder Cup. The wet spring, I mean, rain after rain, sending these guys home. It's just been a challenge.
Just unable to work, it's so wet.
Just unable to, like, walking was a trouble. Like,
wow.
You're getting, like, walking and getting your feet stuck in some of the areas.
Oh.
It was just very...
so you're ahead of your annual rainfall.
Yeah, very.
Right.
But it started to balance out through this heat wave a little bit, but we're still ahead. You know, with the rock solid team that we've created here, you know, we accomplished what we needed to do here.
Well, it takes all kinds of tools to prepare a golf course for a major championship, and even for you during a hot summer at home. And sometimes golf course superintendents will use big fans like this one to lower the canopy temperature by up to 10 degrees and improve air movement around a green complex. It's a big rig, but it can move some air. So what you're looking at here is a mobile subsurface blower or vacuum. Sometimes you've heard sub-air or subsurface ventilation. That's what this machine does. This one's on wheels and you can move it around from green to green, as opposed to some clubs that actually have vaults at every green with a permanent machine underground. This one's great because it's a little bit cheaper, a little bit more affordable, and you can move it around anywhere you want. And so what it does is it either vacuums air from the green profile, so it's pulling water, air down through the mix of the green into the drainage system that sits underneath the surface, or it's blowing air up into the green through that drainage system. So it's plumbed here on the high side of the drainage, and from here, there's a pipe that runs right into the green, into a very intricate herringbone drainage system. So what these units are really good for is if the soil profile is really wet, you can pull some of that moisture down through the 12 inches of sand, down through the 4 inches of gravel, and into the drainage system with one of these units. Or if you just need to get some gas exchange and you need to blow some air up into the green, you flip the switch and you blow the air right on up through the whole profile. You got to be careful with that though, because if it's hot air, that could hurt. So you have to time it and do it in the middle of the night or real early in the morning when air temperatures are cool. So Chris, 20 days out, the greens are looking fantastic. What kind of grass are you growing here?
We got SR 1119 with 007.
And they do take a lot of traffic, don't they?
They do. They do. We push out on good days, I mean, 180, 180, 200 rounds a day.
That's a lot of golf.
It's a lot of golf.
But I tell you what, they really look like they've held up to that great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy for where we stand right now in terms of the weather we've had, the heat, the play. These things performed outstanding.
So these things, when they get rolling, the ball roll on pure bent grass can get pretty quick. Mm-hmm. What are you targeting in terms of green speed?
For the BMW, we're targeting about 11.5 to 12.
The greens at Medinah are a true USGA spec green. That means they're built on 12 inches of sand and peat moss mix. That 12 inches of mix sits on 4 inches of gravel that tops a herringbone drainage system that has a drain tile every 15 feet. The USGA construction method is perfect for creeping bent grass. It allows for optimum drainage, a lot of air movement in the soil profile, and that allows this SR 007 and 1119 to get some really deep roots. And deep roots lead to dense turf, firm surfaces, and fast greens. In 2010, Rees Jones rebuilt all the greens here on course number 3. And what was interesting about that project was he had done the bunkers about 6 or 7 years before. So when it came time to rebuild these greens, he wanted to add a little bit more movement. So the bunkers remained, and he stretched the greens towards the bunkers, which gave him a lot of opportunity to add more rolls throughout. And so there are a great set of championship greens with all kinds of interesting putts. Tell us about how things work here with the Director of Grounds, Steve Cook. So the three of you guys manage your own course and then you work with Steve. So how does that relationship work day to day and also in terms of longer term planning and such?
Well, like I said, on Thursdays and Fridays we meet to discuss the weekly, what we want to accomplish. But on a day-to-day basis, we meet up with Steve, we tell him what's going on, what we need to look at together, kind of the new things that popped up, to make sure we're all on the same page. In terms of watering, I mean, with three golf courses at Medinah, there's a lot of communication going on that we just need to keep up on.
It's all about communication. I mean, right. Steve and I have to always be on the same page. I have to be on top of letting him know what's coming up in the next day or two and where people are going to be. Right. And the same for him. He needs to let me know on where we can put people, where we can't put people, what hole might be shut down today, what might not be, just to get everything ready for the event.
JT, the fairways are looking really good. What height of cut are they at?
We got a bench height on them at 450, but actual height is probably closer to about 375.
Okay, so about 3/8 of an inch?
Yeah.
Any changes planned for the tournament, or is this what they'll be playing?
No, this is what they'll be playing.
Okay.
Mowed a little bit more frequently. We'll probably regulate them a little bit as well. So.
Right. Here we're looking at a big fairway bunker just about 50 to 80 yards off the green here on 10. And so you guys did a big bunker project as we were talking about. So let's talk through what you did again. You removed the sand and then what happened?
So they came through, removed the sand, took all the old liner out, inspected the drainage, put a nice edge on the bunkers, liner in, sod staples in, sand in, and then they handed them over to us and we went through, compacted as much as we could with the plate compactor. Some of the steeper faces that we couldn't get the plate compactor on, we had guys go around with the hand tampers. Other than that, yeah, you just keep watering them, getting them moist and tamp them.
So we're on the approach here and you've done some top dressing today. So tell us about what we're looking at.
So this is number 12. 12 approach is one of our tough ones, especially during heat. Gets puffy, humidity. So we try to top dress it on a regular basis, and we usually go at a high rate just to make sure we kind of balance that puffiness out and get rid of it, just to create a true playing surface.
Okay, so to clarify, when it gets hot and humid, the bent grass kind of wants to swell. The internal mechanism of the plant, they kind of swell up, and it feels puffy under your feet.
Right.
And then what happens then? Is it susceptible to challenges?
It is acceptable, especially with mowing, scalping. Sometimes it can be acceptable disease pressure.
Right.
So we just want to make sure we maintain or decrease the amount of puffiness we have in all of our turf.
So this top dressing strategy at this time of year is about the being the antidote to a puffy plant, puffy stand, okay?
Yep.
There is a beautiful stand of bent grass from tee to fairway to green here at Medinah. Seed Research 007 and 1119 throughout. And these fairways are really thick and healthy. They've had a wet spring followed by some heat, so there is a lot of grass here. And that could have an effect on how far the ball's gonna roll this week. The golf course really starts to get good here on hole number 5. 536-yard par 5. You can see the bunker behind me there on the left. That's brand new. Rees Jones put it in a few years ago to replace the PJ Boatwright tree. PJ Boatwright of the USGA had a tree, took it out, put it back in. There's a bunch of stories about what that tree was about, but it died just after the Ryder Cup, and Rees Jones decided to put a bunker in there. So this is the new Rees Jones bunker on hole number 5, about 300 yards off the tee and about 213 yards from the center of the green. The guys have a narrow fairway here to hit, but even if they lay back a little bit, they can still reach it in 2 for a great birdie opportunity. But as you can see, uphill, there's definitely trouble around the green. In 1999, Tiger Woods hit his drive 327 yards to this point, and then he hit a 261-yard 2-iron fade around a bunch of trees for a 2-putt birdie. But today, the hole's playing a little bit different. It's 617 yards now. There's been a bunch of tree removed, and you've got a sweeping fairway of creeping bent grass. And you know, everybody talks about the golf ball and the golf club and what it's done to the game, but don't make any mistake. The improvements in agronomy and turf maintenance have also contributed to the way the game is played today. So Chris, the rough is looking like it's going to be quite the penalty if you miss the fairway.
Yeah.
You don't have much of an intermediate cut here. This is about 4 feet wide. What height will you maintain this?
This is at 1.25 inches currently right now.
And this moves up the fairway and just around the green a little bit?
It goes right up to the green, and then it converts to a push mow width of 1.5 feet.
Okay.
One pass around every green.
So you've got 4 feet to 1.5 feet before you hit the thick stuff.
Yep, before the thick stuff.
Wow, this is pretty thick. Kentucky bluegrass, fine fescues, tall, turf-type tall fescues?
Yep, with a little bit of perennial rye.
How deep is it? What height of cut are you mowing it?
This rough is 4 inches currently right now.
4 inches?
Yep.
And that's what you're going to have for the tournament?
This is what we're going to have for the tournament.
Well, make no mistake, this is the BMW Championship, not the US Open, but you wouldn't know it looking at this rough. This is at least 4 inches tall right now. They've had a real wet spring. Kentucky bluegrass, perennial rye, with a few fine fescues mixed in. It is thick, and let me tell you, the fairways are wide, but don't miss them here at Medinah. Over the years that you've been working here, almost 20 years, your primary role in many of those years has been as the arborist for the team, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so are you a certified arborist?
I am. Yeah.
Great, and so you've got a lot of trees to take care of here.
Yes, I am. When I began to work in here, it was over 8,000 trees. And mostly of those trees are weird oak. Still, you can see many oaks in this course as an oakland forest.
During the week of the BMW, what will your role be?
Basically, I'm going to be looking for hangers because thousands of people is going to be walking under these majestic trees.
Right.
So I have to make sure everybody's going to be safe.
What does that entail in terms of being the construction superintendent?
Making sure I've been the main contact with all the vendors, scaffolding, tenting, carpet, everybody, you name it. Our Medinah's existing driving range is just not long enough for the pros to hit on. They'll hit it into the houses beyond the fence. Right. So they came to us and wanted a range on hole number 12 and 13, course 1.
Okay.
We obliged. We put this tee in last September.
Okay.
Give us some time to grow it in and make sure everything was nice and firm and
Right.
how they wanted to hit off of it for the event. And so far, everything's looking really, really good on the range.
So you built a dedicated bent grass driving range tee within a year of the event.
Yeah.
So tell us about the volunteer program for the BMW.
A lot of local guys, salesmen, superintendents, ex-superintendents, guys that Steve has relationships with. He gave us a lot of freedom to go get our buddies to come in, people that we're comfortable working with or may have interned with in the past. We got about 50 guys coming in from, like I said, mainly local, but guys coming as far from New Jersey to come work for the week. So it'll be great. We're doing 2 shifts, pretty standard PGA tournament operation. Prep the course for play, come in, do the small stuff at night, and hopefully keep everyone entertained in between.
So what kind of jobs will the volunteers be doing on the golf course?
Push mowing, divots, some hand watering. It's not to say we don't trust volunteers or anything on the bigger stuff, but we have such a big staff here with a lot of experience, so we're going to cover a lot of the mowing of the fine turf and rolling and all that, and of course presentation and prep, but the volunteers will be here just to keep us moving and everything in momentum.
So your staff is essentially the starting lineup, and then the volunteers will come in to support them.
Absolutely.
So Marty, what holes do you think are going to have a big impact during the championship?
Well, I think most of the back 9 to start with, but I say the most pivotal holes will probably be the par 4 12th. It's a big fall off on the right-hand side, as you know. Yeah. Any ball missing that green to the right potentially will go into the pond that protects the right side there.
Yeah.
And then 13 and 17 are both very difficult par 3s right up on the water. They go over Lake Kadijah, it is here.
Yeah.
And then probably the most pivotal hole is our 15th. Well, as you know, Rees came in for 2012 Ryder Cup and redesigned the hole to make it a drivable par 4. Right. And from what I understand, we are going to play it up 1 or 2 days. So it will be a pivotal hole for sure.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, it will be.
Hole number 16 is a 482-yard par 4. It's a sharp dogleg left with a steep rise to the green. Players are going to have to work it right to left off the tee or fly it over that big oak on the left side of the fairway. Hole number 16 is effectively called the Sergio hole. And this is where that tree stood in 1999 when Sergio Garcia hit a 6-iron off the base of it up to the green when he was chasing down Tiger for the PGA Championship. The back 9 really heats up here on hole number 12, a 476-yard par 4. It's got sweeping fairway topography, water on the right, a big oak tree guarding the green on the left, and no bunkers. The players can just bomb it down here, but they're going to have a real tough shot back up at the green. The Chicago crowds will be packed in these grandstands here at hole number 13, 245-yard par 3 over water, one of Medinah's classic par 3s. During the 2010 renovation project, Rees Jones was challenged with fixing a hole that sat at the lowest part of the golf course and tended to flood whenever it rained heavy. So he rebuilt it into a 335-yard drivable par 4 with water in the right side. He solved the drainage problem, created a brand new hole that fits in great with the rest of the golf course, and during the 2012 Ryder Cup, some players laid back, didn't make birdie, some players went for it, made bogey. It played exactly like he wanted, a bunch of different ways. It'll be interesting to see what they do during the BMW. Steve Cook, Chris Funke, the entire team at Medinah Country Club, including the membership, have worked real hard and have course number 3 in pristine condition for the 2019 BMW Championship. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a fantastic FedEx Cup Playoff event. Thank you for watching the Course Reports On Site. Be sure to subscribe so you can be the first to know when new episodes of On Site are ready to go. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out at thecoursereports.com. This episode is brought to you by Dave Thompson's Organic Healthy Grow and Healthy Grow Professional Brand Fertilizers. It's sustainable, it's organic, it's best in class. Find it at a retailer near you or online at healthygrow.com/green. The way it's made matters. healthygrow.com/green.